Get this on the Triple M network. Hello everyone, we're still broadcasting. It's me, Tony Martin, of whom people are saying...
A little less conversation, a little more action, please.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. We've got Ed Cavalier who's saying me too.
The trouble with Me Too But is it's okay to say Me Too, but who's he going to say Me Too But to then?
All right, fair enough. And Richard Marsland, who's like...
Like a bad copier,
Oh,
where the boy next door doesn't actually put the answer out. You
Right.
really get caught out
okay.
when you copy the work of the boy sitting in the next door desk. If he doesn't fill in one of the answers, you're all at sea. And when you fill it in, you get it wrong.
Okay, so pretty much Costello is full-time on the juice. These days, it's just...
That was more torturous than that racing car with its highly calibrated settings nonsense.
That's the new race car. That's the follow-up single.
Have you noticed Richard's on best behaviour today?
I have, actually.
Do you know why?
Brushed his hair.
His mum's here.
Yeah.
That's right.
His
yeah.
mum's outside in the atrium.
Nice to see you.
There she is,
There.
giving us a wave.
Didn't bring any home-cooked snacks or anything.
No,
That's,
that's-
you know, that's,
She'll be marked down there.
no
If you ask her
slices.
nicely, she might bring some cask wine. She knows plenty about that.
We'll get her in here. I want to hear her.
Yeah.
I want to see her panelling a break, actually.
Oh, okay.
See where the skills came from. Plenty to get to in this hour. TV news. Now,
Oh, yes.
I didn't see this show last night. I can't even say the name. I'm assuming it's pronounced Viva Lachlan
Oh, this is the Hugh Jackman casino thing.
sing-along show.
Yeah.
In the style of cop rock, according to the New York Times. Oh, worse than the infamous 1990 fiasco Cop Rock, which was a cop show where people sang and danced.
Sounds too much like Hot Cops in Arrested Development. Hot Cops.
It was ludicrous. Somebody would be bursting into a cracked den and then launching into with a little bit of blooming luck. God blimey. It was nonsensical. I didn't see this last night. Channel 9 showed it last night. Nikki is nodding.
Right. Yeah, Nikki said earlier that it was a huge flop, man. That was her exact quote.
What? Come on.
They were singing on top of another music track. Like,
Yeah,
so
this-
there was...
Over the top.
Yeah.
But it's a remake of Blackpool, that BBC series.
Blackpool was great.
Yeah, so where did this one go wrong?
Don't know.
Just the songs? What songs were they using? Shot Through the Heart and You're to Blame, possibly?
Yeah, and Melanie Griffith didn't help it. I don't
Oh,
think.
no, she really does.
She's on the turn.
She doesn't turn it.
She's on the turn for sure. I think she's held up by wires and Botox these days.
Our industry observer today, Daniel, was just telling me it's already been axed.
Oh, 2 episodes.
After 2 episodes in the US.
That's an illustrious club.
Okay, who's in the 2 club?
Okay, we've Let Loose Live.
Let Loose Live.
Okay.
Mark Mitchell's the big time,
right.
even though 3 were shot.
Okay, Tone. Yep. Any chance of,
Was there
showing the third one?
The chat room. No, chat room got to a 3rd episode.
Room, there
Australia's naughtiest home videos.
That was only 1.
that's still the record holder, but and our good friend Stephen Curry was here and Sit Down, Shut Up.
He
Yeah,
was.
That made the full 13, I think,
13.
though.
What about Surprise, Surprise Down Blouse? That didn't go very well. I think that got through 2 and a bit.
Yasmin's getting down blouse. That didn't last very long either.
I would have kept watching.
What about that Big Brother? That lasted a few episodes, didn't it?
Did it ever?
Too many.
That was a big part of our show over the last 2 years.
Well,
and-
Jamie got a run in the last
Yeah,
sketch.
the headband thing.
I still see him.
Yeah, I saw him the other day too.
Okay, wait.
Okay,
We should
yeah.
probably say at the same time where we saw him. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Wandering the streets doing
Yeah,
nothing.
well, on the streets drinking a beer.
Yeah.
But I'm
Nobody
pretty...
said in my dreams. Okay.
But the thing I walked past, I was like, yeah, Jamie, how's unemployment treating you? Wait a second, I've just been sacked. Jamie, want to hang out? Got Galen's number?
Oh, hello, podcasters. Tony Martin here. Sorry to interrupt, but as you've probably guessed, we're replaying old sketches on the show at the moment. We don't want to repeat anything on the podcast, though, so the bit about Peter Rosethorn on Big Brother being electrocuted, go back to podcast 10 for that. And for people who want something they haven't heard before, here's something from the archives. Peter Costello, launching the budget last year, seemed pretty obsessed with the bionic ear. See you on the other side.
Mr Speaker, in the 5-year period from 2004-5, we have allocated $12.7 billion to the bionic ear. This budget continues the government's strong commitment to the bionic ear. The strength of Australia's military will always remain the bionic ear. Tonight I am announcing a new comprehensive tax reform plan with 3 parts. First, the self-employed would be able to claim a full deduction for the bionic ear. Second, the government will seek the cooperation of state governments to maintain their contribution in real terms to the bionic ear. And third, the government will provide $200 million to establish up to 10 new funds in a new round of the Bionic Ear Investment Fund program. It is estimated around 370,000 people will receive this additional bionic ear. In addition to this budget takes progress much further with a range of measures, including changes to make the bionic ear more attractive, aligning thresholds for small business to simplify eligibility for the bionic ear, and simplifying and extending access to the bionic ear. Mr. Speaker, this is a budget which will build opportunities for the bionic ear, and I commend the bill to the House.
A lot of people saying, you know, how does Richard live his life?
Oh, good.
Another guess from Tristan Barlow. Richard's one-bedroom apartment is like Gene Hackman's cage, an enemy of the state, which allows him to torrent Dean Guy's album undetected.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Not a bad guess.
Not bad.
I think it's more like Gene Hackman's apartment in the conversation in the final scene.
Yes, which enemy of the state was kind of alluding to, wasn't it?
Alluding to, ripped it off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry,
Okay.
guys, I'll just say it.
Richard, you've got something over there, a clip I think you want to play.
That's right. One of the big MySpaces, a big fan of Ed's, and is constantly emailing and is always across the show, by the name of Mel.
Oh, yeah,
Mel.
yeah.
She said that today she was listening to one of the many Get This podcasts, came across something that she thinks is very spooky. In podcast 82, about 25 minutes in, Tony is reading out an email someone wrote in suggesting that we celebrate February. Have a listen to this.
Elliot Burley wants us to celebrate Fezbuary. I'm expecting we'll be sacked by Fezbuary. There you go.
Is Tony a psychic? Thanks very much, Mel. Kiss, kiss. But that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, we're reading out an email of a clip reading out an email.
Yeah. And then this will be put into a podcast and then we'll all just implode.
The time-space continuum will be interrupted.
Well done.
Success.
Very good stuff.
Is it time, do you think? We have got a beautiful replay to hear now. But I think I'd rather meet Richard Marsland's mum.
Same
Mrs.
here.
Marsland,
Oh.
would you care to
Come
step
on
into
in.
the studio? Come on.
Come on in.
In you come.
Okay.
Look at this.
Oh,
Richard,
Richard.
that's
unnecessary.
not
That's very odd. Round in the middle.
in here. This is the guest
No,
chair.
there you go.
Yes,
Not on Richard's lap.
She's popping around to sit
in
on
here.
Richard's lap.
That was.
Yeah, this is where the guests, that's where
hello.
headphones, they're deliriously loud, I'm afraid. Told you. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah,
Talk
talking
right
to
into
that
that
thing.
pointy stick, Mum.
Welcome to Get This, Mrs. Marsland.
Thank you.
How do you rate Richard's skills on this program as compared to previous shows you've observed him operating?
He's sitting down,
That's true.
which is a first.
Did you go in on his late night sex program ever?
No,
Oh,
I
it
missed
was
that one.
poor
Yeah.
taste, wasn't
yeah,
it?
it was.
Get right
Contributed
on that,
on the phone.
Sorry, Richard's just doing a bit of
Do I have to
roadie.
go
with-
right in there?
Yeah, I'm afraid
just
you
a
do.
sound.
Sorry, love.
Okay.
Sorry, Dal.
Now, which of his many programs and segments over the year have you enjoyed the most, do you think?
Well, I love Get This. I
Oh,
love it.
that's nice.
I enjoyed him on AM Adelaide. He was good on that.
In Adelaide with Anne Wills.
Good on
But anything Richard does, I love. Well, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well,
There's one
He's not-
segment he's never bothered to play to us. We've only got the theme tune.
You come in a grand day, what the hey, it's Triple M's Bingo. All you have to do is play a little game we have, it's called Bingo. Musical bingo on the radio is the way to go. It'll help with your cash flow and you'll have that winning glow. Listen weekdays from 9 for Triple M's Bingo. Listen to the songs when you hear them, call us up and say Bingo. Bingo! Nothing could be easier every workday. We will boost your pay when we give the cash away. That's the name of the easy little game called Bingo. Bingo! Triple M!
Come
looks
back,
embarrassed.
Mrs. Marsland, come back.
I'm on the Venga bus.
Oh, the finger bus. I mentioned the finger bus. You'll
The
stop.
finger bus is
No,
on,
man.
and everybody's running from north to Ibiza in the Mediterranean sun.
She's dancing. She is dancing. We've had so many requests to hear that again. Listen to this. This is the kind of, reaction your son attracts on this program. This is from, Ben Kavana. I can read that out. Good. I've been listening to the podcast recently in my car. I was stopped at the lights when Marsland's chart-topping Venga Bus is coming started blaring out of my speakers. Group of guys in the next car started to laugh. One of them shouted out, "Yeah, the Venga boys are awesome, mate." To which I replied, it's Richard effing Marsland, actually.
Yeah.
One of the guys who looked particularly baffled wound up his window and locked the door.
I think Mum said the Richard effing Marsland phrase a few times in her past.
Oh, on the odd occasion.
Really?
Now, I've heard, Mrs Marsland, that, little kids like to get around in their parents' clothes and stuff like that.
Oh, Richard's great.
Well, he still insists on wearing your high heels to work every day.
Oh, but he leaves his pink tutu at home.
He does. And at his 21st was a wide stance theme party at the Field Gardens. Is that true?
It was more like a slosh up at Gawler River, but
There we go.
I think the Venga bus did go on to.
Really? Do you think he needs a haircut? Because I think
Absolutely,
that's absolutely disgusting.
I'm taking him straight away after the show.
Yeah, get the bowl on
Actually, I
his
was
head.
going to do it myself.
Well,
Yeah,
that is
sure.
a great idea.
We can set up the cameras. They can go straight on the website.
Yep.
Watch
Fantastic.
Richard Mars and have a haircut. What about this sort of phone-in topic we've got going? How does
love
Richard
it.
Marsland live his life?
Oh, okay. The phone topics really annoy me from Adelaide because I can't ring in.
What's the segment called,
how
Mum?
does-
The segment?
It's up your rooster or no, up the mountain or something.
Up your wrist.
Up your rooster.
No.
Sure, we'll retitle
Whatever.
it whatever you
He gets
want.
very frustrated when I say I missed, up the mountain or
Well,
off your mountain or climb the mountain.
Let's go up the
Down
wrist
the mountain.
next. As for people wanting Mingo, maybe we'll have a round of Mingo before we sign
Okay.
off in 4.5
Fantastic.
weeks. That was actually Andrew Brown who wanted to hear that jingle. He also says, would love to hear from Ed's Hollywood reporter. What's the latest on Cinseltown?
Now, Lindsay Lohan.
That's all he says. Talkback Mountain next. Up the wrist. What are we talking about today, Ed?
What are you a sucker for?
What are you a sucker for? And what are you a sucker for?
Eurobeat.
Oh, you like a bit of
I
Eurobeat.
love Eurobeat.
Yeah.
Tone Summer's coming,
Yeah.
which means one thing. Some Dutch bloke is going to get hold of a classic song and absolutely butcher it, and I cannot wait. I mean, you've got all the classics, Ice MC, Tone,
Yeah.
S Club 7, Cotton Eye Joe, and the granddaddy of them all.
I'm a scat man.
Yes! Anyone?
Well,
Anyone.
people like Dutch.
Oh, I love it, Tone.
Something is rotten in the state of the Netherlands. That is great music. But there's another kind of music that I'm a sucker for.
Let it play, Richard.
Okay. Oh, I see. This will count as a song if we play the whole thing.
You can keep talking, Tone. This is like those shows, those radio shows you see where it's just all, oh, it's the Hot 20 at night. Here we are. And now it's Pink doing it to ya. We back.
We'd still be on if our show sounded like that.
Okay.
Here's the kind of music I like. I'm a sucker for thinking music. How much thinking did you get done then?
Still nothing.
I was distracted by the xylophones. I couldn't think. No, it's very helpful thinking music.
Fantastic.
Just get some thinking music for your office if you're having trouble thinking.
Fantastic.
And what am I thinking about? Oh, so many phrases that I'm a sucker for.
Oh, yeah.
You know, politicians, the tortuous analogies they use and the little sort of button phrases they like to try and, drop into the conversation
Oh,
and
yes.
then they might catch on.
Yeah.
Rudd likes a bit of this.
Wacko the diddly-o, we're suddenly over the line on that one.
I love that. But his predecessor, Kim Beazley,
Much better.
he was much better at it.
This is a complete dog's breakfast, an absolute dog's breakfast. And, tossing a few more cans of Powell into the dog's breakfast will not, in fact, make a decent breakfast.
Oh, bring that bloke back.
What?
I'm a sucker for Peter Costello's tortuous analogies.
This is like a highly engineered racing car.
We know.
One miscue, you take one corner a foot too wide and it'll crash.
That's right.
I'll tell you what I wouldn't be doing. I wouldn't be putting an L-plate driver in the cockpit at the moment.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's the short version of that. And as for the Prime Minister himself, I just like it when he busts out. Yeah, I'm a sucker for them all.
Sucker for it.
Mr. Marsland, sucker for what?
Speaking of this computer right here, I can't hear this sound enough.
Where are they?
I like that one. I also
Where
like.
are they? He's looking around. Has Crystal walked in?
That
Easy,
means
Mum. Easy.
That's a second. That's
That
the,
is the-
that's
No,
the
no.
second
She loves
joke like that he's made about his mother. One more, and you got to have the eyes out, Oedipus style.
Hang on. Not this time slot, I hope.
Jeez. I also like the
Sorry.
stories where some guy finds a massive diamond accidentally,
I love that stuff.
because then whoever his girlfriend is it's implied, I mean, how does he explain to her that perhaps it might not be for her in the future? Because if he finds
that would never even cross my mind.
There's this guy who was digging at this diamond park. He found a 3.92 carat white stone diamond.
Oh.
He was digging with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But, what if he, was going to break up with her next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great diamond, isn't it?
It really is pretty.
What am I meant to, admiring that?
I'll get a cab home.
Yeah.
You take the car.
You know what I'm a sucker for? The way Richard Marsland tries to crowbar a story from the years he has half a joke on into a segment it's clearly got nothing to do with. I'm a sucker for things.
Yeah.
For that bit of music. For a lovely cat.
Yeah.
For a nice cup of tea. No, I'm a sucker for stories about a guy finding a diamond. Oh, yeah, because you're always doing them.
Day doesn't go past.
That is what I am a sucker for, really. It can be anything at all.
Anything at all.
I'll tell you what I'm a sucker for. Those comments online at petitionspot.com.
Wow.
Have you seen them, Ed?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know there's a lot of sadness in the office and the studio at the moment, but whenever you want to just turn that frown upside down, get onto that, get this petition.
Very funny.
This is my reaction every time. No.
Oh, yeah.
The one of the Prime Minister.
That's right, the Prime Minister.
Let's try that again.
Okay.
For the podcast.
Give me the
You
line.
ready?
Yep.
This is my reaction every time. Although sometimes I do have a milkshake, so it can go either way. Look, let's meet the listeners.
G'day, Stefan. How are you?
Hey, Ed, Tony, Richard, how are you?
We are excellent. Tell me, what are you a sucker for?
Going to miss you a lot, by the way, when you're gone.
Oh, we'll be around to your place. Don't worry.
Okay, listen, I'm a sucker for, I love horror movies, and every time I get these so-called new ones which say, double thumbs up and all this, they're just crap.
Yeah.
And they're that crap, you're just forced to watch it finish to see how crap it really is.
What sort of ones are you talking about there?
Oh, I had one recently just called The Wisher and had all this stuff, good on the cover and, great movie, scary as hell.
Yeah.
And it was just garbage.
Okay, now, and what would you rank as a good one, though? Really scary one?
Oh, anything with Steven Seagal, mate.
Yes, the hairline is terrifying.
Hey, can I quickly tell you something about Steven Seagal?
Yes, please.
I was in the warehouse the other day, them cheap shops?
Yeah.
And they had one of his DVDs in the bargain bin.
Yeah.
For $4.99. It was called The Shadow Man. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the front of it just had you're either with him or you're dead.
Wow. What a choice.
Yeah, well, I didn't get it. I got some fingers for my daughter for Halloween instead.
Oh, okay,
well,
yeah.
It's a tough choice there, Stefan.
$4.95 is too much for The Shadow Man.
Yeah, absolutely right. Thank you very much.
Pretty much all of his recent films is The Shadow Man.
Hello, Josh. How are you?
Hi.
Oh.
Hey, guys.
How you going?
Good.
What are you a sucker for, sir?
I'm a sucker for chocolate.
Oh, just chocolate in general?
Yeah, just everything about it.
Now, Josh, what do you think of these so-called healthier options? Apparently they've got more cocoa in them, but for me they just taste like powdered powder. You know what I'm saying?
Don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Brown powder. And what about, do you favour the dark chocolate because of this notion it might be good for you?
Nah, I'm a fan of the Cadbury chocolate.
Yeah, good on you, Josh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Important health issues.
Josh sounds like a weekend listener, if you know what I'm saying. A late night weekend listener.
Yeah, all right.
Good on you, Josh.
All right, thanks a lot.
We'll send a few Chiquito bars round.
Your way.
Steal them from the 7-Eleven. We'll get them to your house.
Finally, Rob, how are you?
I'm a sucker for a show on Foxtel on the Fuel TV channel called Poor Man's Bikini Beach.
Hang on a sec. Now, Rob, I've got but all of those things, the Foxtel, etc., etc. What's Poor Man's Bikini Beach? Because I know Bikini Beach regular. What's Poor Man's Bikini Beach?
It's basically the same show, hosted by a very scary guy that you'd avoid at the train station.
So it's the same show, just with a creepy guy.
Pretty much.
That's...
And do they go to a shabbier type of beach? Oh, he's gone.
See you, Rob.
He dropped out.
And,
Another victim of the Shadow Man.
Oh, the scallop industry got to him.
Bob Franklin is here. He's still here. Thank God he didn't disappear during the song.
So did you get a round of applause just for staying here?
We do.
For attendance.
We're very appreciative.
When we leave that fake round, we'll be going with us.
Do a lot of people just leave after 5 minutes?
Well, when the old Mellencamp cranks up, it tends to be time to lock the studio door.
Sorts the men from the boys. You have heard that we've been shown the door, Bob. I hope there wasn't anything to do with your appearances. I know there's been a couple of controversial ones.
Oh, well, I will say, Tone, that I think it does illustrate, what a pack of cunts.
I don't think they are country people. They're not country people. Many of them from the city.
Most from the city. I'd say.
Absolutely. Urban renewal. That's what we're about. Cycles of renewal.
Urban development.
Absolutely.
Bet you wish I'd left after 5 minutes now.
No, I love it. Bob, Newstopia, please. Are you in it or are you not? I haven't seen you in the 2 episodes that have been to air, unless it's another one of your subliminal appearances.
No, I'm just in this one this very evening. One of a string of sports reporters who keep being replaced.
I noticed that. Ed was the first week.
I got the chop.
And
Ed's
I'm going...
come and gone.
Because you were the only cast member who didn't come back the second week. And I'm going, is that a running joke or is that just something that Sean...
No, I said some stuff off there that got back to Sean and away I went.
Was it about John Mellencamp?
A little bit. Yeah. I suggested...
They're big fans of the Mel in there.
I suggested that Sean was no Summers.
Yeah.
And...
There you go.
He didn't like it.
Hasn't spoken to you since.
No.
Okay, that's tonight.
You've touched the nerve.
I have, actually.
10 o'clock. SBS, check it out. When you finish watching Summer Heights High on the ABC, just flip over.
Okay.
If David Stratton's beard appears on your television, then that tells you should be over on SBS. That's how we do it at our place. But let's also talk about what replaces Summer Heights High next week on the ABC, The Librarians, a fine new series that you're in.
Yes, that's a 6-part series written by Robin Butler and Wayne Hope.
Yes.
And Wayne directed it, and it's quite a darkly humorous little series.
And you play a librarian.
I actually play a petty thief who has to do community service in the library. So,
hence the moustache, Bob?
Yes.
Very nice.
Nice tash. And nice accent. What is that accent? Would that be called a Welsh accent that you're sporting?
That's a Welsh accent in the Librarians, yes. Newport, to be precise.
Right.
Newport, South Wales, possibly the ugliest town in the world.
Really? Now, Bob, I've never quite known because you're very sort of shadowy about your biography. Are you from Wales or are you from London?
No, I'm from London, but I lived in Wales for a while. So I lived... I lived close to Newport, and so I was surrounded by people doing that accent for quite a few years.
Now, what is the Welsh? You know, we know about the Irish and the Scottish and the English sense of humour. What is the Welsh sense of humour like?
Well, I think, have you seen their national costume?
No, what is it?
The Welsh national costume. Well, that will give you some idea as to their sense of humour, I think.
I'm wearing it today, Tone.
Maybe the final show, we're all in Welsh.
That'd be lovely.
National costume.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Is that sizzle?
How do we...
People in Welsh.
Find out what that is.
Okay. If people were to go round to your house, what would be playing on the telly at the moment instead of election coverage?
Porn, probably.
Porn? Yeah. Any high-quality gear? Plumpers? Are you going for the plumpers? Or old and ready? That's one Stephen Curry was promoting the other day when he was in here.
Steve Curry was in the one that I had on.
Really? Did he say, I've dug a hole? Sorry. Pardon me. The election campaign, it's
I'm
getting...
laughing. I've no idea what that meant.
No, neither have I. No. Just move on. That's what we say. It's been fairly ugly so far, the election campaign. Still 4.5 weeks to go. But do you remember early in the year when Peter Costello was just blaming Kevin Rudd for pretty much anything and everything?
Well, this is because he knows he's in trouble. There was a poll that's come out that says Costello may lose his seat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's blaming Rudd.
Okay, well, I do know, just in regards to Mr. Costello's electorate, I think it's Higgins, which is in Melbourne, and I used to live quite near there, and you drive past his electoral office, and there'd always just be some glaziers replacing the front window. And I mentioned this to John Clark. I bumped into John Clark, and I said, I drove past Peter Costello's electoral office a few times, and obviously people are just driving past and throwing bricks through the window. And John Clark replied, "You're assuming the bricks are coming from the outside." Bob Franklin is with us. Hit those bells, Mr. Marsland. What's it time to do, everybody? I think we know.
Let's startle Bob Franklin. Let's startle Bob Franklin. Let's startle Bob Franklin. That's him over there.
It's true. Now, what generally happens is we're the ones who end up getting startled. It's already happened in this half hour. Bob, I mean, have you seen, outside of this studio, has anything startled you in the last few months?
No, nothing.
Nothing at all?
Last few years, in fact.
Really? Unstartled? Ed, you've got the Zoo magazine there. To me, that suggests desperation.
It really does.
What have you got? Crystal's column?
No. Crystal's quiet this week. Bob, the Italian government has started handing out grants for 25 to 29-year-olds who still live with their parents to move out. Still living with your folks in Italy, 25 years old, they'll give you some cash to move out.
Yes. No, I saw that coming.
Did you?
Yes.
I knew it. I knew that wouldn't work.
The Italians, they're always going in that direction.
All right.
Mr. Marsland, have a crack.
Okay. How about this one, Bob? At its peak in 1994, the Wonder Bra was selling at a rate of 1 every 15 seconds worldwide. It's an amazing statistic, wouldn't you say?
Oh, not if you look at bra sales during that period in general.
Yeah. It was a good time? It was a boom time?
It was a boom time for bras, and the Wonder Bra, it's all about timing in the bra industry.
Okay, this isn't working.
All right.
Something from Ed Cavali's life, perhaps. Surely, Ed, from your recent behaviour, housemates, surely something there would startle Bob Franklin. Oh, you're not allowed to talk about them. Is that right?
My housemate cleaned the bathroom, Bob. We've lived in the house 4 months. First time it's happened.
Yes, what's he up to?
You think it's suspicious?
It's very suspicious.
Okay.
Not sure it's startling, but I'd certainly...
Check. You think I should check his room?
Oh, I'd have him tailed.
All right, done.
What about the internet? Surely you've gotten onto the internet, say YouTube, and been startled by something you've seen on there.
No.
Nothing at all? No. You know, there's quite a lot of your work on YouTube.
Look out.
Have you typed your own name into YouTube?
No.
There's hours and hours of you on a program called The Mick Malloy Show serving people cucumber sandwiches.
Oh, yeah.
It's very odd. It's a strange use of bandwidth.
Hard to believe it was axed after 8 episodes.
Please don't mention that word. Okay, we're getting nowhere.
Nothing.
Clearly, it's up to the listeners. Facts, information, anything at all that can stun him, knock him from his torpor. You know what to do.
Let's startle Bob Franklin. Let's startle Bob Franklin.
All right, startle Bob Franklin.
1-3-3-3-5-3. Let's startle Bob Franklin. Let's startle Bob Franklin.
Not to be confused with Let's Bewilder
Let's
Heath
startle
Franklin.
Bob
That's
Franklin.
an old segment of ours here at Get This on Triple M.
Let's
Bob,
startle him now.
are you ready to meet the listeners?
Yes, indeed, yes.
All right, who's going first, Ed?
Trevor, how are you?
I went out clubbing with a few friends one night, and he actually picked up what he thought was a lady, and we knew it was a bloke. We tried telling him, but didn't believe us, and he's actually still with her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember the night well, Trev.
He's amused, he's tickled, certainly, but I don't think startled.
He's still with her. That's terrific.
All right. Hello, Nicole. How are you?
I hope I can startle Bob.
Okay.
My brother actually goes out into the middle of the bush and catches quite venomous snakes, then takes them home and milks them and drinks their venom.
Bob, anything?
Would he have that in a smoothie? Nicole?
No, he just has the venom because he deals with snakes a lot.
So
he thinks it might build up his an immunity to the venom.
Right.
So he's trying to become some sort of superhero, is he?
No. He was actually bitten by a tiger snake a few months back.
No, he can't get enough.
A lot of people die from that. He didn't die.
Well, that's excellent. That's excellent work, and I wish him all the best with
his snake
the
milking.
rest of his venom drinking.
Well, okay, he's certainly... I saw an eyebrow raise. A nice attempt, Nicole. We're
Very
going to have
nice,
to move
Nicole.
on.
Okay, Colin, how are you?
Well, I read a little while back that scientists have worked out that there are now more people alive on the face of the Earth than have died collectively in human history.
In human history. Oh, it was a slight movement.
I think most of them have been at my gigs, to be honest. That's interesting, Cole. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
That's certainly
It's not
interesting.
startled, but there is a fluctuation on the
Getting
eyebrow.
somewhere.
Okay,
Good job,
nicely
Colin.
done. Startling statistic there.
All right, Colin's warmed him up. Now, Stuart, bring it home.
Well, I thought Bob would like to know that my wife and I have watched every episode of Crash Burn, and we kind of liked it. That's probably going to need more explanation, I think.
No, I think you've done it, Stu.
He's wide-eyed. He is definitely wide-eyed. Absolutely incredible.
We've startled Bob Franklin. Yes, startled Bob Franklin. You've startled Bob Franklin. Thanks to everyone who called.
Oh, Stuart, you are going to receive something from the Prize King's cupboard.
Wonderful.
What would you like? If you
Well,
could...
is there anything left in his cupboard?
Is there anything there, Ed? What have you got?
Yeah,
DVD
I've
of
got-
Crash Burn.
Stuart, how about a copy of America's Next Top Model, episode 13, that went to air 3 or 4 months ago?
Yeah, that's just a promotional one. What else do you got?
Finally, someone's called him on it!
Right, if that's what you want, then you're going to cop Chick Flicks, the Ultimate Collection, featuring music from The Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, yeah. I think that's what I'm stuck with, isn't it?
What about a copy
so
of
clever
our
now, is it?
limited edition CD, a legal download from the team at Get This?
Oh, I've already got that.
You've already got that?
You know what, that's enough. This is.
What about a Barge Ass DVD?
I've got that too.
He's got that as well.
Do we have any?
All right, a lock of Richard's hair. There you go, done.
Oh, beautiful.
All right, lovely.
I can climb my own.
Okay, and a signed first edition of Catcher in the Rye, signed by J.D. Salinger, Stanley Kubrick, and Thomas Pynchon. They're selling handbags in the boardroom. Hello, ladies.
I've bought 8.
Ed Cavalier, I've never seen him so interested in handbags.
It's amazing. It's amazing what a couple of attractive sisters can do for my appreciation of handbags, Nikki. I didn't realise that's what fashion was all about.
See, we noticed the handbag sellage going on in the boardroom, and Tony and I, just before the show, were discussing off air as to whether or not Ed would come back and begin breaking the ice, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
They were selling belts, and I opened with the line, I only wear drawstrings. Bang!
I had something about autoerotic.
They've noticed.
Yeah, that's us. That's what we do around here.
How many
Yeah, that's
times
right.
did Ed have to pop back in because he left his pen in the
It's
boardroom?
amazing. It's like I can never find it.
How many pens do you own?
Lots of belts.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, no, keep the clothes on, ladies,
Okay,
please.
come on, please.
It's a tasteful program.
Please.
For some reason, my autoerotic asphyxiation joke didn't go down so well in that room, but
Hello to any women.
And the demonstration went even worse.
Do you think we've lost all the women in our audience?
What women, Tone? Which one? Which one? Did you know one that listened?
We need to win them back with Sizzle.
Nikki's the only one, and she has to be here.
Yeah, if you'll notice, those headphones are tuned to another
I
station.
noticed that.
She has very little
Got
idea.
Hamish and Andy podcast in there ears all the whole time.
All right,
she
enough
kept coming
about
up to me asking when we were sewn together. I'm like, that is not our show, Nikki. We're not in a caravan. What are you talking about?
Last week, there was some kind of judging competition for women in bikinis down on our floor of the building.
Yeah.
And the staff were a flutter, I will say that.
It's tough going, man.
But it's one of those things where you go, wow, women in bikinis wandering around the corridor.
Yeah.
I've got to go and check that out. And then you go out, and I'm just too embarrassed. I can't look at anybody.
I know.
I just feel like a sex offender.
'Cause they
I'm
were-
walking through just looking at the ground.
Because they were hanging around the kitchen, and I was like, oh, no, my cup's dirty. Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's got some lint on it. I better go back to the kitchen to get a new one. Had like 7 or 8 different cups, and after a while, I think they cottoned on.
yeah, especially after you left the fridge open for them too.
Yeah,
I know you were too bad.
well. And then what happened, the problem with it is you wander around there all like, oh, time for a new cup. G'day. Ooh, dudes. What's happening, dudes? Where are the girls gone? What's up with all the Speedos, fellas?
Cutting into your action, is that what you're saying? So many people have sent in emails like this one from Ken Luke, who says, I reckon before you guys sign off in 4 weeks, you've got to get Maddie D in to co-host for the second hour.
Okay, yes.
We've heard so much about him. What about an hour of dower? On Get This. Now, this is a man who used to do a radio show in Gympie.
Yeah, he knows all about it. He's got stories to tell.
Yeah. And he's now, one of the leading producers here at the network.
I just don't know, Tone. You know, it's like getting the stage manager up to do Hamlet. You know what I'm saying?
Hang on a second.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Wow. How did you get onto this show? And now you're saying not in those shirt and shoes, Mr. Dower?
Because I lied about my credentials to get on this show, and he's putting in quality work day after day. And if he gets on air, there's going to be no room for me, Tone.
We're going to get him round here. I want him sitting in for at least one break before we sign off.
Same
He's a
here,
great
same
bloke, Matty D.
I mean, I love him, but
No, I can
it's a bit
feel
upstairs, downstairs, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, after that Hamlet comment, let's see how many promos you're in today. Tanya from Sydney. Oh, look, this is a beautiful email from Tanya Simpson, who says, Dear Tony, Ed, Richard, Nikki, Cecilia, and Matt the Prisoner Dower. I'm devastated by the shock axing of your show. Listening to your podcast has literally saved my sanity. Ever since my husband left me and my baby daughter last year, I've been plugging in to Get This as I go to bed. Hello. She's going to bed with Richard Marsland. Cop that, ex-husband.
Hey.
Any witty repartee, famous Maori comedian. Hello. I'm here all week. has more than been replaced by your antics.
Thank you.
I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say to my cheating ex that he needs...
One, right up the bracket.
Where did that
I
come
haven't
from?
heard that one for a while.
We haven't heard that for ages.
I don't remember the name of the guy, but I remember it was at the Liberal Party conference, like one of the campaigns.
Senator Hugh Jars? Senator Hugh Juan, who started emailing us?
I know, Hugh Juan's giving us a lot of emails.
Yeah.
I think we've got the original version of that.
Let's give the Labor Party one, right up the bracket.
All right. And
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, sir, for contributing. That's actually used as a headline about this show today.
It was.
That we've been given one right up the bracket in the Herald Sun in Melbourne today. But I guess it's a chance for people to just distribute some.
Yeah.
Who needs one right up the bracket, Ed Cavalier?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'd like to nominate my best friend from high school. Not you yet, Richard. I'll get to you. My best friend from high school. You know who you are, Michael Luciano. You need...
One, right up the bracket.
What's he done?
Well, his favourite trick is my hearing's never been the best.
No.
And this show... hasn't helped that tone.
Not going to help, no.
I'm walking around with one of those massive cones that you see hanging out the ear these days.
Yeah, a lot of our listeners are walking around with massive cones, according to these emails, but moving on.
But anyway, he had this trick where he'd speak to me in a low voice and get me to respond, but he'd call at me from the back. I'd walk back into class and he'd go, "Oi, bumface, pass me a pen." And I wouldn't hear bumface. I'd just hear pass me a pen. So I go, "No worries." All of a sudden, this guy's bumface.
You've just thrown off that bumface thing. Now it's going to start all over again if you're not careful.
If you answered a bumface once in high school, you may as well get it tattooed on your forehead. I left school, 11 years ago. Still, I see kids. Hey, bumface!
Yeah, well, let's give them all.
One, right up the bracket.
Oh, no. Seymour Butts. There, I said it. Are you happy?
I am.
Mr. Butts of Queensland. He wants to give me...
One, right up the bracket.
Because he claims that as a result of this show, he's becoming a movie nerd. Used to be just a normal nerd. Damn you. I recently got out Clerks and Clerks 2 and could name just about every movie Kevin Smith has made. Well, just about.
Yeah, it's
quite
not quite good enough, is it?
He saw Serpico on sale on DVD at his supermarket and freaked out. I'm starting to recognise movies by director without even picking them up and looking. This show will do that to you.
Yeah.
Also, you guys have made me want to become a radio announcer, professional announcer perhaps. He's going to try and get a job at his local community radio station and do Richard Marsland impressions.
That's a good idea.
That's how we all got into radio. Good luck to you, sir. That's how it's done.
Can I speak quickly about Richard Marsland?
Yeah, because he wants to do the impressions. How does one do an impression of Richard Marsland?
Richard.
Simple as that.
That's pretty much it. Now, we all know Richard's a suck-up, right? But it's getting really, really bad. Listen to this. An email went around today from the boss around here. Guys, have a close listen to how this sweeper is panelled. It's a quality example of crafting. Make sure you get a couple of listens. Those who care enough strive to achieve this kind of sound. Let's hear it.
And we're going to talk about the magic that is Bob Franklin's accent in The Librarians.
Oh, yeah, you betcha.
In this hour of Get This.
Now, that's quality work.
That is crafty.
Are you serious? A memo has gone around because of that.
Now, look, I think it's quite good, but he's carrying around a little tape recorder around his neck.
Oh, no.
Just playing it to girls in the sales department. So, Marsland, that's...
One, right up the bracket.
for you.
Memo for all those how comes you edited into how far we've come. Where was the memo for Yellow Betty, Black Snake and a Barbecue, King of the Mountain remix?
What about What You Need Is a Boot in the Arse from Read About It, Midnight Oil?
A lot of people, including Billy, petition spot signee number 1231 again. That
Good to see you,
bloke.
Billy.
It's over 4,000 now, 4,200 or so. Great comments. Get on there, contribute. He wants to give Richard Marsland
One, right up the bracket.
He says it's been over a year since we heard the Charlene 5000. Now, this was Richard Marsland's drum machine from home, which he brought in, and spent a whole day just driving us nuts in the office.
Pretty much.
Eventually it bleeded onto the program. Have you got a recording of that there?
Sure do.
I think that was Inagata Davida or
bad.
Fallout Boy, thanks to the memories. It was one of those.
All right, we better stop now because Richard's got two up the bracket. The bracket is chockers.
The bracket is chockers. In fact, I'm getting so sick of this sound grab that I want to give...
One, right up the bracket.
Two.
One, right up the brackets.
Hi, Steph. How are you?
Hi guys, not too bad. How are you?
Excellent. Who needs one?
Oh, the lady who walks her dog and it craps right out the front of my letterbox.
1. Right up the brackets.
And I don't have a gate, and I've stood in it twice.
Oh, no.
twice.
But you've seen her doing it.
Oh, yeah. But my dogs go crazy too.
And have you confronted her?
No, I've tried chasing her down the street with the poo, but no, it doesn't work too well.
Yeah. It's...
Now, Ed, I know you said there's no prizes, but I need compensation for standing in dog poo twice.
You know what, Steph? I'm glad you asked because I've got in my hot little hand a copy of Sea Patrol. Episode 13, Cometh the Hour from Series 1.
Well, you know what? I've been waiting for that. Thank you very much.
It's coming your way. Signed by absolutely no one.
Didn't even sound sarcastic. Thank you, Steph. That's beautiful. I say, with the dog poo, bag it up, follow them home, chuck it at their front door. I mean, I know it's controversial.
Really, Tone?
I've done it before.
Have you?
It's very important to get the right address.
Yeah.
You will end up in a community newspaper.
Get this at the new time of 2 o'clock.
Or in Adelaide, 3 o'clock.
On the Triple M network.